Alright, so we are going to build upon what we talked about the other day with our angle relationships, but today we're going to not just identify what relationship we see, but we're going to set up the equation to solve for that. So, first, we see this right angle box right here, tells us we have a 90-degree angle, which tells us that this right here has to be a 90-degree angle, which makes these complementary. Remember, when two angles are complementary, they have a sum of 90. Sum means we're going to add them together. So 3x plus x plus 14. We add those two angles together and we get 90 degrees. So let's go ahead and solve for that missing angle. So 3x plus x is 4x plus 14 equals 90. We subtract 14 from both sides. We see that 4x is equal to 76. And when we divide both sides by 4, x is equal to, and I break out my calculator here real quick, 76 divided by 4 is 19. Now, not only have we solved for x, let's go solve for the missing angles now. Here we have two missing angles to solve for. The first one is 3x. So, let's zoom out just a little. There. So, 3x would be 3 times 19, and 3 times 19 is 57 degrees. So one of the angles is 57. The other angle was x plus 14. So if we have 19 plus 14, we get 33 degrees. And we can double check our answers. If we add 57 plus 33, we get 90. So we know we're good on all three counts. So x is 19, one of the angles is 57, one of the angles is 33 degrees. All right, let's move on to the next one. Here we can tell that we have vertical angles because those two angles are opposite from each other. Okay, so these are going to be vertical. Vertical angles have the same measure, which means those two angles are equal to each other. So 2x plus 1 is going to be equal to 73. Subtract 1 from both sides. 2x is equal to 72. And when we divide both sides by 2 to get rid of the coefficient there, to get it equal to 1, 1x is equal to, so we'll go ahead and use our calculator. 72 divided by 2 is 36. So x is equal to 36. Now the second part of that, find the measure of the missing angle. Well, for vertical angles, remember, since they're the same angle, we know the missing angle is going to be 73 degrees. But we can prove it by substituting in 2 times 36 plus 1. 2 times 36 is 72, plus 1 is 73. So we know we got the right answer because our missing angle turned out to be the same angle that we had on the other side. Alrighty, let's look at our third pair. Looks a little confusing until we pay attention to the two angles we have. We can kind of ignore this right here. This doesn't do anything for us but try to confuse us. But these two angles right here, they make that line, which makes them supplementary. You'll remember that supplementary angles have a sum of 180. Sum, add these two together. So 3x plus the x plus 8 is going to equal 180 degrees. Supplementary angles have a sum of 180 degrees. So we're going to solve for the x first. 3x plus 1x is 4x. Bring down the plus 8 because there's nothing to combine it with, equals 180. We move the constant first, always. 4x is equal to 172. And when we divide both sides by that coefficient, 4, x equals, and we'll go ahead and break out our calculator here. 172 divided by 4 is 43. So we've solved for x. Now let's take it that step further and solve for the missing angles. First, 3x. So 3 times 43. Take our 43 times 3 is 129 degrees. Our second angle is x plus 8, so we have 43 plus 8. 43 plus 8 is 51. So if we add these two angles together, we do get 180 degrees. So we know that we're on the right track and we're doing okay so far. Remember, the first thing we have to do is determine what relationship we have. That's going to guide us in setting up our equation to solve. So let's go through a few more practice here. Here we have 6x plus 5 and 89. These two angles are opposites of each other, which makes them, you guessed it, vertical. Since they are vertical angles, they will have the same measure. If they have the same measure, we know that 6x plus 5 and 89 are equal. They have the same amount of degree measure. So let's go ahead and solve this equation. Little two-step equation right here. No like terms to combine or distributing, so we move the constant first. So 6x is equal to 84. We'll divide both sides by that coefficient, 6. Break out our calculator. 84 divided by 6 is 14. So we know that x is equal to 14. Now, we know that missing angle is going to be 89 because they're vertical angles and they're the same. But let's go ahead and just prove it. 6 times 14 plus 5. Okay, not sure about the answer? Break out your calculator. 14 times 6 is 84. So we have 84 plus 5, and we do get 89 degrees. So we know that we have the correct answer, both for x and for the missing angle measure. Okay. Next example, we have 3x plus 2 and 73. Those two angles are right next to each other. They are adjacent, but more importantly, they make this straight angle right here. A straight angle has a measure of 180 degrees. Well, if these two angles make a 180 degree total, that makes them supplementary. And supplementary angles will have a sum of 180 degrees. So the first angle, 3x plus 2, and the second angle, 73, will have a sum of 180 degrees. Okay, so we'll go ahead and solve for that missing angle first. Looks like we do have some like terms with the constants. Only one variable term here, so 3x. 2 plus 73 is positive 75 equals 180. Move that constant first because that's what we do to get the constants on one side, variables on the other. We see that 3x is equal to 105. You divide by that coefficient to get it to 1. Do that on both sides, and 1x equals, not sure, break out that calculator, 105 divided by 3 is 35. So we found x. Now let's find those missing angle. We only have one missing angle to find here. So we have 3 times 35 plus 2. So let's take 35 times 3. That's our 105. Hey, look, it happened right here. 35 times 3 is 105. 105 plus 2 is 107 degrees. And if you add 107 to 73, you do get 180 degrees. So we know we have the correct angle measure, and we have the correct value for x. All right, guys, last one. Let's do this right here. We have two angles right here. We have 5x plus 3. We have 27. You see this box drawn there in the corner? That's our indication we have a right angle, which tells us that these two angles are going to be a right angle as well, because 90 plus 90 makes the 180 straight angle. So we only need to work with these two. We know that 5x plus 3 and 27 will have a sum of 90 degrees. So let's go ahead and solve for that there. So we add our like terms together, bring down the variable, 5x, 3 plus 27 is positive 30, equals 90. Subtract the constant. Remember, we always subtract the constants, move constants to one side, variable terms to the other. And we see that 5x is equal to 60. When we divide both sides by 5, the coefficient, 5 divided by 5 gives us our 1x. 60 divided by 5, let's go ahead and type it in here. 60 divided by 5 is 12. So we see that x equals 12. Okay, we know x. Let's find that missing angle measure here, 5x plus 3. So we have 5 times x, 12, plus 3. This is kind of like checking our work back in the first unit, except we're not really checking our work so much as we're finding that missing angle, but you see it does serve as a check as well. 5 times 12 is 60, moving back up from here. 60 plus 3 is 63 degrees. And if you add 63 with 27, you do get 90. So you know that this is the correct missing angle. Of course, you could have also done 90 minus 27 to get 63. Just like up here, you could have done 180 minus 73 and got that missing angle right there as well. So there are multiple ways you can check your answer to see that you're doing it correctly. Bottom line, guys, you've got to look at the relationship of the angles. That's going to tell you what kind of equation you're going to set up. Are you going to set up the two angles to be equal to each other because they're vertical? Are you going to add the two angles to get 180 because they're supplementary? Or are you going to add the two angles to get 90 degrees because they are complementary? All right, guys, come to class with questions. We'll go over it before we get started on our assignment. Good luck and thanks.